All right, folks, welcome on into the new Ford F-150 Lightning. Now, this vehicle that we're currently sitting in is a Lariat package, and it comes with the ebony leather interior, which feels absolutely amazing. This interior is very reminiscent of F-150, so the space in the cab, sitting in the back, 6 foot plus tall, no problem, tons of floor space back there, tons of floor space up here in the front, and of course the seats are absolutely comfortable. Now they are perforated. This one happens to be a slate gray with black ebony interior, and heated and ventilated seats through this perforated section here. So I'll have the nice creature comforts and amenities while down here in the south and or up in the north using the heated steering wheel and or heated seats. And the first thing that you're gonna see when first jumping into this vehicle is this giant 15.5-inch display. It's absolutely incredible. It's mesmerizing. We have a digital volume dial here, which is absolutely great. And then you're seeing this interior dashboard is much like what you would find in your current Expedition. So it's only available in the Lightning. You cannot get this 15.5-inch display in a Platinum, King Ranch, XLT, Lariat of F-150 other than Lightning. So it's exclusive to this lineup. And let me tell you, this screen is absolutely beautiful. But not only that, we have a panoramic Vista roof, we have a B&O stereo system, we have Blue Cruise technology, we also have an interior work surface in this vehicle, so allow you to use your laptop, your tablets, have lunch, have your guests in here with you and you guys are typing up memos or whatnot. So beautiful, beautiful work area and surface to work from this vehicle. Absolutely elegant design across the dashboard, redesigned, absolutely incredible, knocked it out of the park. And it's a great, great feel and fit and finish for this vehicle. All right, folks, so while inside of this brand new Ford Lightning, of course, you would expect it to have all the power outputs that it does, whether in the Mega Frunk or in the trunk, but we also have a lot of phone connectivity up front. So I've got a wireless charge pad down here. I've got USB type A and C in here. And I've also got a 110 outlet, or excuse me, a 120 outlet at 20 amps. So household objects, I can power a Keurig, I can power, my wife's curling iron, her hair dryer, all inside of here without blowing a fuse. And then I've got a 12-volt cigarette port style outlet as well. So I have all the type of charging that I could possibly need right here in the front driver and passenger. And I also have very similar, if not the same, here in the back. The only one that I don't have on the back of the center console back here is the wireless charge pad. So I've got USB-C, USB-A, I've got the 120 at 20 amps, and I've also got a 12-volt outlet back there too. And on some of these packages, you'll also get heated rear seats. So for those colder tundra locations, you might want your folks in the back to have heated seats. They'll come with it. They don't have air-conditioned seats, but they will have heated seats. So I'm gonna go ahead and just set my phone down here on the wireless charge pad and show you on the infotainment screen that up here on the top right, I'm seeing a battery that's indicating that my phone is currently charging on the wireless charge pad. So without me having to actually put my eyes down on the phone itself, I can show up here in the top right corner that my phone is currently charging. And so I can then close that, kind of keep that out of my peripheral vision so I'm not focused more on the phone rather than driving on the road. All right, so this button here in the center is like, it's an apps menu. It's gonna allow you to enter things and look at your radio, your phone, navigation, media. Apple CarPlay is wireless in this vehicle. Android Auto is also wireless in this vehicle. We also have trip energy showing how much energy I've used during a trip. And then I've got an owner's manual here as well as some games. So if I've got to keep some of the kids busy, I can put on one of these games and let them play it while I'm sitting in a stationary position. This system will update over the air exactly like your phone will. So just keep that in mind. More games will come, more infotainment will come, more apps will be able to be downloaded. This vehicle might update to where it's asking for your response on whether you would like more horsepower to be generated to the vehicle, where they can actually push more power into the motors and give you a faster truck over time. All this information gets pushed up into the cloud, so it's really nice and convenient that Ford can look at those things and maybe give you a little bit more juice down the road, as well as more games and different applications within this menu right here. but a really quick thing I'd like to show you is if I click on radio, I'd like you to note that down here on the bottom, those are the quick menus that I've already been to. So if I click on this again, and let's say I click phone, you'll see that radio is something I was just in. And if I go back, and let's say I click media, I was just in add phone. And so that quick menu then goes there. So you can delete these applications. They are quick menus. So previous menus that you've already been to, you simply grab and draw it downwards and it'll delete that. Like I said, it is a recent history menu. If I'd like to use it, I can simply drag it and throw it up to the top, and then now I've got that menu accessible to when I want to use it. But simply, if I want these to all go away, I'll just drag them to the down position and they will delete. So that's how you're gonna quickly remove and add recents that are on these quick menus. But I just wanted you guys to know that that's where they come from. They come from this center stack of apps, their previous history from those. And so you cannot really manipulate them however you want. They'll just be there as they will. You can go back to recently opened apps. Moving on down to the AC system on this, I get this question a lot is how do I turn on the max AC? Well, that question, there really should be a button down here for max AC, but there isn't. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna click on this little guy right here, and it's gonna open the entire AC system, heated and cooled system, and you'll see a button right at the top for max AC. And then what's presented to you next is where the air direction is flowing from. So in this example, it's flowing from the main dash vents, which are flowing towards my face. I can then go back into that menu. I'm gonna turn the fan speed down just due to it's high. It's coming on high. So I turn the fan speed down right there. If I want to, I can click it or I can simply drag it, open that back up. So I can drag it up, I can pull it down. I can actually drag it off screen. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off. What I can do at my feet, I can do it at the dash. And this is just a really quick way for you to look at that. I can also do e-heat. So one of the things you guys are gonna wanna do if you're living in the north is you are gonna want to set the vehicle up for preconditioning. So what that means is through the Ford Pass app or on this infotainment system, and I'll show you it in just a minute, it's called a departure time. And you can precondition the vehicle to use the electricity that's coming from the object in which you're powering the vehicle, whether that be a home or a fast charge station, to heat the vehicle using that energy rather than the battery cell's energy. And so when we see e-heat, we're using electronic heat. That's what it's showing us there. And then driver's focused, you can click on that. And so that's just kind of a quick menu to give me air towards my face because that's where I want it. Coming on back out of that, we have auto. So we have 3 sets of auto. This is gonna be high, I've got medium, and I've got low. And then of course, I can turn it all off just by clicking the off button. Now what auto does for you is actually pretty important. It's going to draw the heat or cold outside or inside. So it's gonna determine which temperature is outside. Is it colder outside and I want my cab to be colder? It'll draw the air from outside to quickly cool off the cab. If it's hot outside and I want my cab to be hotter, it'll draw the heat from outside and circulate that inside. But it'll also do it vice versa. So if it's really cold outside and I want it hot inside, it'll circulate inside cab heat to quickly heat the cabin for us. So that's what auto is. I know a lot of folks don't really use it that much, but it's a really useful tool, especially down here in Texas where it gets really, really hot outside. And a lot of times our car's interior temperature is hotter than what it is outside. So using that function is very, very helpful in cooling down the car quickly. Of course, you've got heated and ventilated seats in this Lariat, so you can simply drag this to the up position for maximum heat, or I can drag it down for maximum cooling for the ventilated seats. Now again, it's designed to go off screen here, so if I'm slightly off screen because I'm driving, I don't really want you to take your focus off the road. I can just simply grab it as I'm driving and I can turn it to a heated or ventilated seat. And if I want it off, I just take a quick glance and I'm back on the road. So we really did that Ford really wants you guys to be safe on the road, so they do stuff just like that to keep it to where your eyes are always on the road. That's why the screen is so far up. It's right at the brim of the windshield so that you can quickly glance over, look at what you need to look at, and use your peripherals to watch the road. So really big on safety. That's one of their main points there. I'm gonna turn my heated steering wheel off because I can already feel it warming up my hands. I've got max defrost, and then I've got rear defrost, and then of course the passenger side does have air conditioned seat and heated and ventilated seats. Moving into probably the most informative and fun parts about the vehicle. Clicking on the vehicle brings in the vehicle's settings. So in this case, it automatically brought up drive modes, which were in normal. If you ever have any questions on how that's going to operate the vehicle, these little eye icons are extremely informative, and they'll tell you exactly what that mode is going to do. In this case, for everyday driving, it's a mode that balances the vehicle's system for comfort and convenience and excitement. Well, if we want to go really fast and fun, we'll just put it in sport mode. We know it's going to give us all the juice, right? Changes the dash up a little bit on the instrument cluster. It's going to change it to a red and white, and you'll see it on the instrument cluster when we get over there in just a little bit. We've got an off-road mode here. We've got a tow haul mode, so it can't be an F-150 without these modes, right? This vehicle is designed to tow. It's designed to haul equipment in the bed, but it's also designed to be comfortable and luxurious and give you the most internal space possible. So I can put all my friends, my family, my buddies, my coworkers in the back. If we're going to a job site and I need to use this vehicle on the job site, I can put everyone back there in the back. They can sit comfortably, and then I can have a passenger up here in the front. But again, this is an F-150. It's a Lightning. So I've got to have the same drive modes that I would on my normal truck, so I can go off-roading, so I can tow, and I can haul, right? One of the really neat features is one pedal drive. It's currently grayed out because I don't have the truck fully implemented on it and running or in gear. So let me go ahead and throw it in gear. While I'm in tow mode, I would like to maybe put on one pedal drive. I'm gonna go ahead and click it to normal, and I can put in one pedal drive. So most people might ask, well, what is one pedal drive? This is my first time buying an EV vehicle. I'm not sure what that is. To put it in the best terms possible, it's exactly like driving a golf cart. Now, this one is going to be much faster than your traditional golf cart, but when you put your foot on the accelerator for a golf cart, you go. As you're relieving pressure from that accelerator pedal, it slowly starts to brake. That's exactly how one pedal drive is. It is regenerative braking using the motors and the brakes on the vehicle. When you are lifting your foot from the pedal, it slows the vehicle down. So it's actually a really comfortable position to drive in. Once you get used to it, you'll almost always forget how to drive a regular car with a regular brake. But if you don't like that feature, Ford's giving you an option to turn it off, so you don't have to have it on. Of course, we have the locking differential. We can go ahead and select that here. Because we don't have our drive modes up here like regular F-150, all of them are in here. I don't have a tactile button for lockable differential, so it will be in this menu right here listed below. Now, moving on, we've got cameras. So of course you can see cameras 360 degrees, and I have that door slightly ajar over there, so excuse me for that view. But I've got other camera views right here, so I can look at full front view. And of course, it's showing my sensing. I am closely parked to another object here in the back. So it's showing me via these waves where that object is and how close I am to it. I've got 180-degree front view. I've got a bed camera, so I can look fully into the bed. I've got a camera also here that I can add to a trailer, which is great. So if I want to add a camera and put it on the back of a trailer and kind of see what's going on behind the trailer, I can certainly do that. I've got my full reverse camera, and hello gentleman there sitting in the booth. And then I've got a Hitch camera too. So I can look directly down at the ball. I don't need a second person out there lining me up for the trailer connection, because the ball will be approximately where that line is there on the floor, or right about where my finger would be. And so you can just simply back up. You'll stop right underneath of the hitch, and you can lower that trailer down right on the ball, first time go, not wasting a bunch of time. You can get in and out and move on with life. So those are great camera views. They're excellent. There's a few more camera views while we're in reverse, but currently that's what I have just sitting here in park. Now you've got the access menu. Now this is a menu, like I mentioned, in the front of the vehicle that I can pop the frunk from, and I certainly can by clicking that button. And of course I've got the charge port to where it's illuminated as well. So this charge port button right here is gonna show us the illumination on the little circular pie outside on the door when I open up the charge port. When I plug that in, when I plug in my cable, it'll illuminate those pie. There's 5 portions to the pie. When it's fully charged, all of them will be blue. Currently we're not charged, but I'm showing that I want that port to be lit when I do open that charge port access door. So that's what that is right here at the bottom. And it'll tell you, of course, by clicking the eye icon, it's showing when the setting is turned on, the light for the charge port turns on while charging is in process. Now, I don't know if I mentioned it before outside, but the Pro Station is Wi-Fi and Bluetooth enabled, as well as you having FordPass Connect. So it will let you configure that charge station to when you want it to charge. It's manipulative through the app. You can tell it, I want you to charge at 8 o'clock at night when I'm on free nights and weekends. I want you to charge from 8 to 8 a.m., for example. You can set that up through that charge process on the Pro Station, and that's a really nice feature. But you can also do that if you're not on free nights and weekends, or if you're not on a really flexible electricity plan. You can set it up through FordPass, and you can also set it up through here when you want the vehicle to charge. What I mean by that is keep it plugged in, but I want you to charge at this time. All right, so moving on, we have towing. So I'm gonna close out of that and I'm gonna click on over to towing. So in towing on this vehicle, I don't have anything connected right now. I don't even have a trailer selected with dimensions or weights, but what's really nice about this vehicle, and I'm gonna tell you this, I'm pretty excited about this. You can tell the Ford F-150 Lightning how much weight you're going to put in that trailer, and it will adjust the mileage accordingly. And then it also does that through onboard scales and your smart hitch. So it's a really integral part to trailering with this truck. So by adding a trailer, telling it its dimensions, how much weight is in it, or thereabouts, the length and width, when you set your trip, it'll tell you how far you will approximately make it based on your profile as a driver and based on the weight of the trailer. So that's really cool that it does that for you. So you don't really have to sit there and try to do some sort of mathematical problem that seems like it's impossible to figure out, and it's gonna take you an hour or 2 hours to figure it out. Or try to look up online some sort of calculator for my EV on if I add this weight to my truck, how far can I go? It does it for you. It's all included. We've already figured it out and engineered it to where it works best for you. You just plug in the data and it'll tell you how much mileage you're gonna get out of that. So with this, you can simply enter this menu just by clicking the Pro Trailer Backup Assist button. It'll also ask you to add a trailer, give the dimensions, give it a name as well. So Ford wants to make sure you're naming those trailers. If it's a jet ski trailer, and I know that's 3,000 pounds, that's probably a little absurd, but if it's a 3,000 pound jet ski trailer, Ford wants to know how wide, how long, and what type of trailer it is. It's a jet ski trailer, so it'll save that information. So next time you hook up, it's plug and go. It tells you how far your trip's gonna go, how much weight is in that trailer. It knows everything about it, and you don't have to think about it. So just set it up one time and set it and forget it, and just plug it in and say, hey, I want that jet ski trailer, let's go. All right, so moving on from towing, we have Smart Hitch. Now what Smart Hitch does is it's going to ensure that it's calculating all the proper weights, whether it's payload or whether it's on your trailer. Now you can do conventional towing or you can do weight distributed, and we can look at that by clicking continue. But before we go there, I want to make sure that you guys all see this, that all these have to be green check marks. So the wheels got to be completely straight, vehicle's got to be placed on a level surface and in park, and be set also to the proper recommended tire pressures, because everything can change the way the weight is distributed in the vehicle. So now that we've reached all those green check marks, it brings us to this menu. Now we are in conventional, and like I said, you can go to weight distribution hitch. We're gonna stay in this conventional because this is what most people are probably gonna refer to. And then of course, units of measure as far as the hitch, we're currently in pounds. We can change that to kilograms, but we're gonna keep it in pounds for this demonstration. And basically what we're gonna do is we can click a quick setup, and what that's gonna do is it's gonna say, hey, how much weight do you have in the bed of the truck? How much payload do we put back there? And then it's gonna go to another page where it says, how much weight do we have on the trailer? And then from all that data, it'll calculate how much distance you can go with this vehicle. That's a really important feature. And then Onboard Scales is another version of that that's very helpful. So currently we're under all the green check marks, so we're straight ahead, in park, of course on a level surface, and then our tire pressures are at recommended. So we can click OK on that and you see the onboard scale. So we have a lot of room to go. On this particular vehicle, 1750, and so we're still in a lot of green on that. And then we also have this mode where we can click scale and sort of just watch it, and we're technically at 0 right now. So those scales right there are just a really quick tool for you to utilize to see how much weight is actually on the car if you couldn't guesstimate or tell Ford exactly how much stuff you've put in the bed or how much stuff you have in your trailer. So this is a good tool to help you in sort of getting an idea of what to tell the vehicle as far as how much weight you have in it. All right, so moving on to zone lighting. Now this is the same as what you're finding in your current F-150, and it's a really nice feature that folks tend to like. In this panel, what I can do is I can turn on every single white light for the vehicle. That's pretty cool. I can also do it from my Ford Pass app. So if you're in the back of a parking lot, you don't want any door dings on your brand new Ford Lightning, and it becomes night outside and you don't know where it's at. It's just thousands and thousands of cars. You don't remember exactly where you parked it. Number one, from Ford Pass, I can turn this button on and I can turn every white light on the car. So whether I pulled it in or backed it in, I'll be able to see it from anywhere in that parking lot. If I'm out there hiking or kayaking and I've parked my truck and I don't remember exactly where I left it, because you got to remember, this thing has virtually no sound. When I start it up remotely, still can't hear it. So I may need to be able to see it. So I can turn on every white light so I can help find the truck. Of course, Ford Pass can help you find that truck too, but you'll be walking around looking like you're looking for where's Waldo on your little Ford Pass, scanning around. Where is my truck? Where's my truck? Instead, just turn all the lights on. You'll find it. It'll be a lot easier for you. Plus, you can also tap the horn too. So through the Ford Pass app, you can also tap that horn in case you need help finding your truck. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn those lights off. Moving on with Power OnBoard, it's showing me that I have plugs inside the cab, plugs outside the cab, and plugs up in my frunk. And I'm not using any of them right now, but should I need to, I can just simply tap on it and I'm putting power on that Power system right away. And so then I can thus go out there and use the Mega Frunk power right now. I can do that from in here, and I can also do it out there. There's a little green button with a power button on your Pro stations over there for your Power OnBoard. You can tap that button and it'll turn that device on. So you don't need to be inside the cab to turn it on. You can certainly do it at the box in which you're trying to use. The power outlet box, that is. So I can turn the back one on if I want to, and it's showing 9 watts or less than 9 watts are being powered out because I'm not drawing any power from anything right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and I will turn all of them off. So this is a quick view of your Power OnBoard. It will show you the usage per which section you're using. And of course you have 9.6 on this particular vehicle, which is a really a lot of power. It's a lot of power. Moving on down to parking. So in this scenario, I can actually tell the car, now I'm not in drive currently, but if I were in drive, I could use the park assist or I can navigate to park. And basically this vehicle will parallel, perpendicular, in and out by itself. Now, whether you feel comfortable with that or not, you're more than welcome to let it do all the steering and driving. I personally like to at least keep my foot on the brake. I want the vehicle to move as fast as I would like it to move, rather than it move as fast as it wants to move. So you can certainly put your foot on the brake and control the speed in which it's moving in case you feel uncomfortable with how fast it's moving, because let's be honest, this truck can get about that close to another vehicle, and sitting in this seat, you're for sure thinking you hit it, but surprisingly you didn't. So the vehicle really knows its spatial awareness. I personally, like I said, I use the brakes. Then you've got intelligent backup power. So with the Pro Power Station, you can use that to power the house. Like I said, Sunrun is the authorized installer, and we will put that link in the description below. So if you want to use your vehicle, your Ford vehicle, to power your home, you can certainly do that, or your business, wherever you may have that Pro Station. Have Sunrun do the install. Basically what's going to happen at that point is it's going to take, when the grid power goes out, the truck is smart enough to sense that, and it will ask you if you would like to use the truck to then power your home or your business. And so when that happens, it can do that, sure, but what needs to happen is we need to kick off of grid power. So if the grid power just magically popped on a second later and our truck is powering the house, that is no bueno. We don't want that to happen. That's no good. It could potentially cause some damage to the vehicle itself. So there is a switching action that happens. And so the power gets cut off the grid, and now we're solely using the truck for powering that home or business. So that's what Sunrun's really good at doing. That's what their bread and butter is. That's who Ford has put and entrusted them into installing those into your home. So if you need help or if you need a consultation, we'll put a link in the description below to where you can get a hold of Sunrun. Should you buy one of these vehicles, whether it's a EV Mach-E or a Ford Lightning like this one, and they can install that equipment in your home and give you a quote on what that would cost. Valet mode is a very important mode. It's in every single Ford vehicle that is out there. It's absolutely amazing. Most customers coming to Ford for the first time, they had no idea that we had this technology, which I know it's a little tiny thing, but it does really, really good at keeping your personal data safe. So 4-digit PIN puts the vehicle in a limp mode, and it also locks down all your personal data. So where you live, contacts, everything saved inside the navigation system or profiles within this vehicle will then be locked out. The screen will virtually go black, and it will show absolutely no data. That's very important for a lot of folks. I feel like personal data it seems to be easy to grab. For people out there looking for it, there's a lot of hackers and things like that. So just protecting your personal information and forward thinking of you and being able to protect your personal information within this system is a really nice touch, because there's just so much going out there in the world. And so by us having this is a really great feature. Now, don't forget your 4-digit PIN, please. Don't go out there, go to the club, stuff happens, you forget your 4-digit PIN, because then you got to come see us and we got to unlock it, and it's going to be in limp mode the whole time you come over here. So please don't forget your 4-digit PIN. Just don't forget the 4-digit PIN. All right, so moving on over to settings now. Finally, we're here. We're under vehicle settings here. I'm going to go up to the top. So of course, we can adjust the radio and its settings. So if you're a bass head, this is definitely going to be the place you're going to go to right away. You might want to change where the volume is being faded, which direction of the vehicle it's being faded. Of course, if you hit the tone setting, you can crank up your treble, you can crank up your mids, and you can crank up your bass. If you want my personal settings, I'm going to show you right now. It's right about there, something like that. It's usually primo. I love it. Sounds good at that level. Ford, if you want to go ahead and coin that, you can. Of course, I've got the radio settings, so we have HD radio in this vehicle, as we should. And then, of course, you have 3 rows of presets, which I'll show you here in a minute. That's actually really, really, really cool. And then you've got the radio text, Moving down, I got phone lists, so I can add a whole page of phones, and so that's a really nice feature, having the ability to connect everyone in the car's phones, my kids, my wife, you know, myself, Johnny, the kid down the street, the neighbor. I can add all of their phones in here, and as they're hanging out, they can push their data up here and we can watch, you know, and listen to the music they want to listen to. So that's awesome that they really give you a ton of phone storage space. Your charge, so this is where it's showing how much range I have with the percentage of charge I have. This is a section that I told you I'd get to, and so now we're here. So you got a one-time max limit charge. So what you're doing there is you can actually limit how much the vehicle charges. You can let it charge up to 100%. I know there's a lot of data out there that says you shouldn't. What you should know is that Ford already makes it impossible for you to charge to 100%. You can't technically go all the way to 0. You can, it's very difficult, and you can't go all the way to 100. But that's what Ford knows. In this system, it's gonna look like 100 or 0, but there's actually still energy in the batteries, and that's to save the batteries themselves. So we don't want the batteries to actually die and go to, you know, all the way to 0 or go all the way to 100. That would increase degradation. That's not what Ford's plan is. They're trying to keep everything safe. So they don't allow you to go all the way up and all the way down. Now, in charging this, it'll charge fastest between 10 or 15 all the way to 80. So that's a fast charge. We can do a DC fast charge and it can go 30 minutes and I'll be there, right? 30, 40 minutes, I'll be all the way up to 80%. If you're that type of person that says, I need that 100%, it will take you an additional 30 to 40 minutes to go from that 80 to 100. And you might ask yourself, why is that? Well, because I'm getting closer to the top of the battery pack as far as charging, so it starts to trickle charge. Even though I'm throwing all the juice at it, the battery is smart. On the extended range, there's 2 chargers, so it will effectively charge faster than a standard range battery. But it's a smart vehicle, so as it starts to get all the way to the top of its capacity, it'll start trickle charging after 80. So you'll see that most of you folks out there, if you want to get up to 100, it's going to be something overnight. You're going to leave it in your house. It's going to be charging. No big deal. You'll wake up to it in the morning. But if you're commuting and you're doing long distance travels, just do up to 80%. I promise you, I will save you so much time from sitting there at the electrical charge station. There's no sense in making it go all the way up to 100. It's just a waste of your time. In here, you've got the departure time. Now, I know I talked about that a little earlier, so I can go in here and click edit. And so I can set up a departure time, and what you're seeing over here is the temperature in which I want the vehicle. So if I want to leave my house at, let's say 8 a.m. and I want my vehicle, because I'm in Texas, I want it cold. I like to be cold. Give me 60 degrees, I'll be happy. I'm gonna put my vehicle on cold, and it's plugged into my house. Truck's parked in the garage or outside, I've got it plugged in. I'm not using the battery pack's power to condition this. The vehicle is being conditioned off of me charging from my house. So I'm using the house's power to set this up as a departure time. I want to leave by then, it's going to start before then to reach to my cool temperature. So by the time it's 8, it's already cold, I can jump in, I'm ready to go. Car's already preconditioned. So you can do that Monday through Sunday, every single day of the week. You can do a start time. So let's say I'm at home, I'm at the top on Monday, I leave at 8 a.m. At work, if I have the ability to charge there, I can set it up here, or I don't have to charge. I can just set it and say, hey, I want you to precondition the cab right around 6 p.m. I want it to be cold, and I will be leaving at 6. So it'll precondition the cab. The best case scenario is on departure, right? So when you're trying to actually use outside energy to help your situation as far as range. So I would prefer you folks use it while on the charger so that you get the maximum range out of the vehicle. Because heating and cooling it does take a ton of energy on these vehicles. So if you can utilize a power source while doing that departure, that is the best way to do it, quite honestly. Moving back out of there, charge locations, it will memorize them. Quite honestly, it will memorize them. When you're at your home, it'll pick up that you're at home and it says, hey, this is a charge location, and it'll have the address there. You can can them if you're never going to use them again. But it's nice to have those because you can set up your departure times based on the location and where you are. So at home, let's say I'm not on vacation. I want to set up, I'm at home, I'm going through my regular work week. I want to set up my departure time and I want the car to cool. Well, if I'm not at one of the locations, it may not use the departure time, right? It might not use that cooling scenario because I'm in a different location. So you have to give it a location in order for you to use that tool. So those are some pretty important parts to just preconditioning your vehicle and allowing the grid energy to help set up the car to give it the most comfortable setup for you while departing before you depart. So this section is really, really cool, okay? So it allows you to save up to 5 profiles, 5 different wireless keys using your phone. And what it does is it basically sets the vehicle and its comfort, position, steering wheel, mirrors, lumbar, seat, pedals as well, all to that one profile. It'll also tell you, based on a full charge, how far you will go with that particular driver. So if you have one person that's a heavy foot, it'll actually give them a lesser range than it would for someone who's more of a moderate driver or someone who's actually just always following the speed limit. So the mileage will vary based on the way you drive the car. So that's important to know because when you first get the vehicle, it'll probably have a low range per a full charge of battery. And that's because it's learning and adapting to the way that you're driving. Now I can change things such as audio volume and seat and steering wheel configuration, just like I just mentioned, per these profiles, and I can put my picture up at the top so everyone knows that I am the main driver, and it will link based on your phone. So this is a really cool setup should you have multiple different drivers of your EV vehicle. Now that's not only for Lightning, that's also for Mach-E. They all have this profile setup for personal profiles. Okay, so moving on over to the driver's assistance tab. And if you guys are still with me, I know this is a really in-depth video and I appreciate you hanging in there. There's just so much to cover, but I promise you this video will cover just about everything this car will do. So thanks for sticking in there. Let's keep going. So in driver's assistance, we have a technology called auto hold. What it'll do is it'll hold the vehicle in a stationary position while I have it in drive. It will hold it there. So I have to come to a complete stop and it'll hold the vehicle in that stationary position. Okay, so adaptive cruise control. Now this one has lane centering technology, and as you can see here, it says hands-free. So this is Blue Cruise. It's gonna allow you to let the vehicle drive by itself down the highway. Now that's slowing up and speeding down with traffic, maintaining a distance that you set forth with your adaptive cruise control, how far you wanna be, and then it will literally steer and drive on the highway by itself. It does want your face to be semi looking down the road. It does not want a distracted driver. So this is not like a Tesla where you can fall asleep. In fact, we don't want Tesla drivers to do that either because it's very unsafe on the road. So what it'll do is if you're looking left or you're looking right, maybe looking out at a barn or something like that you're seeing out in a pasture, maybe you're seeing beautiful flowers or something out there, you can certainly do that for about a minute 30 seconds, and then it's gonna say, hey brother, put your eyes back on the road. And then there you go, back on the road. It'll let you drive, no problem. You don't have to put your hands back on the steering wheel. We've got a technology in here called speed sign recognition. I've gone over this before. It's actually a really great technology. It will speed up to the speed limit sign and it won't go past it. But if you're one of those daredevils that want to go over the speed limit, you can click on tolerance and you can go, up to your heart's desire, 20 miles over the speed limit if you want to, or 20 miles under the speed limit. So you can kind of set it wherever you'd like to, somewhere in between, maybe not at all. I particularly don't use that, but you know, some folks might, especially if you have a really aggressive law enforcement in the area in which you live. That might be a technology that you find yourself using. Moving on down, lane keeping system. It's the same as always been. It's a great technology. If you're not using your blinker and or you accidentally lean outside of your lane, it can pull you back or vibrate the steering wheel to notify you that you are accidentally leaving your lane. I like to keep these in normal, but if you find that your sensors on the vehicle are really sensitive, you may want to drop that down to a low position to where it's not so bothersome for you, and it's not telling you that you're leaving your lane when you're really not. So you gotta understand that some of these sensors out here are more sensitive than others. It's just part of the manufacturing process. And so if you find that yours are really sensitive, put them on low. If they're not sensitive enough, put it on high. Or if you really just want to make sure that you're perfectly centered in the lane all the time, you can use the lane centering technology and it'll do that for you, but only while you're in adaptive cruise control. Coming on out of there, I've got pre-collision assist. Now this technology, there is stuff in here that Ford will not put on here, but I'm gonna let you know right now, it is on these vehicles. So we have left lane intersection assist. So if I'm taking a left turn and vehicles are coming, the vehicle will stop itself. It is not in this system. And the other one is gonna be road edge detection. So as I'm leaning off the hardball of a curved road, the car will pull itself back in. I don't know why they haven't put them in here. I'd love for them to put them in here, but they truly are on these vehicles. But what we can manipulate and change on here is available. So we have emergency braking. So in case of a situation where you're following a vehicle too closely, it'll automatically apply the e-brake. Even if you don't, first it'll flash and warn you. If you do nothing, it'll apply the e-brake. Evasive steering. So given this scenario right here in this video, or in this little graphic here, we're never gonna take the shoulder. We don't know if the shoulder is 15 feet wide or 2 inches wide. So Ford vehicles will never ever use this adaptive evasive steering assist to go into the shoulder. It will go left or right if I'm in the middle lane, given that they're an available lane for me to take. If there is no available lane, it of course will just apply the brakes and try to avoid that accident as best as possible. Hopefully you don't find yourself in this situation and you keep a fair distance between the person in front of you. But you know, situations dictate, right? We can't control everything in life, but we have technologies like this that help assist us so that we don't make accidents in life as well. So that's evasive steering. And then of course I have sensitivity on normal. That's the way I really like to keep my Ford set up. Blind spot monitoring system, we're all pretty familiar with that. So it's gonna be a light in the mirror. It's gonna indicate and flash that someone's there. Ford vehicles do not make inaudible sounds. They don't wanna scare you while you're driving. They just want to flash a light. If I'm trying to take a left turn and that light is flashing, I'm most likely looking out of the mirror. And if I'm not, I'm definitely doing something wrong. So if I'm looking out of that mirror and I need to make that left turn, that thing's flashing at me, telling me, hey, someone's there. I'll look over my shoulder and sure enough, there's probably gonna be someone there. Same thing happens if I have the trailer attached. If I have the trailer attached and I'm pushing that blind spot for the width of the trailer, it'll let me know if I'm trying to make a left or right turn through that blind spot system. It'll flash and say, hey, someone's in the blind spot to your trailer, don't get over. So really nice features having those there. Of course, we have parking sensors, and with that, I have them always on. I don't recommend anyone turning them off. They're really nice and convenient to have. And then I've got cross traffic alert. This one's a really great one as I'm backing out of a parking spot. If a person, pedestrian, bicyclist, motorcyclist are coming and I don't see them, maybe I have a box truck parked on the left side of me and I'm trying to turn left and back out of a parking spot. I can't see what's on the other side of that box truck. In this case, the car will stop for me so I don't make an accident and hit somebody or another vehicle. So love that one. And then one of the newer ones that's kind of new to us here, and I really do like it, it's a reverse brake assist. So if there is an object that's really close to the vehicle as you're backing up, it will likely apply the e-brake. So if there's a wall at the back of your garage and you're backing up and you, for whatever reason, you just weren't paying attention that day, it'll automatically apply the brakes. On the left or right side of the truck, if there's like a canister or a wall and you're approaching it pretty closely, it will do that too. So it doesn't have to be directly behind the vehicle. It can be to the left or right of that rear bumper. And if you get too close to it, it will apply the brakes for you. It can be an annoyance, but just keep in mind, we all sometimes get fatigued and we kind of forget or lose ourselves within our busy schedules these days. And so I'd leave it on even if you know you're a professional at backing up, because that one time that it saves you from hitting the wall is gonna make it worth all the money of having that technology, right? Coming on down, of course, I've got driver alert. This one has always been here. It's a lot of fun. Basically what it is a coffee cup. You know, if you lean outside of your lane too many times, it's gonna tell you, hey brother, you might need to stop and get a cup of joe because you're falling asleep. So that's a great one, love that. Moving on down from here, the vehicle settings. So in the Sync 4 system, the settings are amazing. They're immensely amazing. So now I can change an enormous amount of things on the vehicle that were always presets before that I were never able to change before. So good example of that, you know, vehicle power down time. I can turn that on or off. I've got, you know, valet zone limit. So like I mentioned earlier, it restricts the acceleration of this vehicle while in valet mode. For example, a driver takes the vehicle into an undefined area, it will limit that speed to 40 miles an hour. So just like I said, it'll put into a sort of a limp mode for you. I'm gonna turn that one on. I like that feature. The rear occupant, if you should have some children in the back in car seats, this one's gonna warn you when you shut the vehicle off and you open the driver or passenger or any door, it'll tell you to, you know, check the rear seats for occupants. So if you are a person that's semi-forgetful, probably leave that one on. Key detection, that's a really nice feature. So what it does is it's gonna basically spotlight the car for you, the truck, as you approach it. In some of the other vehicles with power boards, it'll deploy the boards. So that's a really great feature. It will not, however, unlock the vehicle. It's just recognizing the key is within proximity of the vehicle. And so thus it's greeting you upon approach. So that's a cool feature to have. Easy entrance access. So this one is gonna be for seat adjustment. So if I shut this vehicle off, this seat will go back, allowing me to exit. So for some of the folks that are a little bit shorter, they tend to find themselves all the way up on the steering wheel. You don't really need to do that in these cars. I'll be completely honest with you. I can put someone in this car, I don't know, about 5 foot tall, and I can probably push the pedals all the way up and put them in a comfortable seating position to where they don't feel like if they were to get in an accident that this airbag is just gonna, you know, cavitate their chest. This seat has so much adjustment, the pedals have so much adjustment that you don't really need to do that too much, but while you're up and closer to the steering wheel, this feature is gonna push it all the way down and back so you don't have to try to slide your legs underneath the steering wheel while you're exiting the vehicle. So I like that feature to be on. My key, we've talked about it in the past. If I create a key under my key, it's gonna be for probably someone of young age or maybe an employee that I want to adjust the seatbelt. I want to make sure it's dinging with a key. I'm going to program a key to basically say, I don't want this vehicle to go past 75 miles an hour. I don't want the volume over 50%. I do not want them to be without a seatbelt. Otherwise, I just want you to chime the entire time until they put it on. So my key does exactly that. It can be frustrating when you go to change in your vehicle and you don't have both keys or you happen to lose one, because then you're stuck with that programmed vehicle at a slower speed, chiming and then slow volume. So then you have to get another key made. So be sure to always keep 2 keys or leave one with someone who's responsible with it. and then just hand that non-administer key to someone that you feel like needs to be reduced in their volume and speed and acceleration with this particular vehicle or any other Ford vehicle that is. So that's the My Key feature. Of course, you have an onboard modem, so these all do 4G Wi-Fi. I believe it's done through AT&T. It's approximately, don't quote me on this, about 20 bucks a month. It'll do 150 feet outside the vehicle, so it's a really great feature to have. Should you be camping in the middle of nowhere, you can get that 4G Wi-Fi in the campsite. Plus, you got all the power on board. You can, have a refrigerator, have a griddle, have everything that you want creature comfort wise, but while enjoying the outdoors as well, and having some of the creature comforts from home. So that's a really nice feature to have as well. Having that 4G Wi-Fi there can be very helpful. The alarm system, obviously this one has all sensors on and it says ask on and exit. That can be a bit annoying. It's already pre-set up from Ford as off, so it's not gonna ask you if you want the perimeter alarm on. That's probably the best way to leave it, to where it's on when you're outside the vehicle and the vehicle's locked. Moving on down for remote start setup. So I've got it set to auto climate control, so that's gonna be 72 degrees internal temperature. Now, as I mentioned before in some of the previous videos, I still have the ability to control this and set it to where I want. If I want the vehicle to be 60 degrees outside, for example, or 60 degrees, excuse me, inside the vehicle, I can set it up to do that. But when it's 40 degrees outside and I really want it to be 70 inside, when you remote start the vehicle, it'll only go to 60. So it's probably best, at least in my opinion, to leave it at auto. It'll automatically go to 72 degrees, whether it's hot or cold outside. So leaving it on auto is really, really convenient. And of course you see seats and steering wheel, so that will also prep these seats. So if it's really, really cold outside, it'll turn on the heated steering wheel. It'll turn on the heated seats, driver and passenger, just to try to help to heat up the cab, to try to reach that 72 degrees internal temperature by 15 minutes. So if you think the vehicle needs more time, you can actually change that duration to 10 minutes. Well, I guess in this case, 15 minutes is gonna be the max on this, but through the Ford Pass, you can hit plus 15 and it'll run for additional 30, or it'll run for a total of 30. You can click it then again and it'll run for 45. I mean, it goes on and on through Ford Pass. You can pretty much set it up whichever way you want. Wipers on this mode, I don't really understand why they're never pre-selected, but I always turn them on. So courtesy wipe and rain sensing, I'll always turn those on. From Ford, if you're getting this vehicle brand new or any other Ford, be sure to go into vehicle settings. If you like those features, turn them on, because they will be turned off from Ford factory. You have to manually go in there and turn them on. Power tailgate recently has been shipping from Ford with it enabled, but should you find that your vehicle does not have it enabled, you'll go to power tailgate and switch it from manual to power, and that's how you'll get it to close on itself, by itself, excuse me. Lighting, there isn't much that one should do in this section, to be quite honest with you. It's already pre-enabled really well. Built here, so automatic high beams. If no one's coming down the road and you're driving down a dark road, it'll automatically click on the high beams. You don't even have to worry about turning them on anymore. The vehicle senses through LiDAR, through its LiDAR system, that no one else is coming in the other direction, so it'll automatically flick those on for you. So that's a really nice feature. Not much to go over in the lighting, but the locks. All right, so if you've ever driven up to your friend's house, left the truck on, left your Ford vehicle on, you get out because you want the AC going, we're in Texas, and as soon as you leave the car, it goes beep beep and honks the horn twice, indicating that you've taken the key and left the vehicle running. If you hate that, you can now turn it off, and it's simply audible feedback. Turn that thing off and it won't do it anymore. You can walk outside this car and it will never go beep beep. It will never tell you that you've left the vehicle without the key and it's running. I've had a customer tell me that's one annoying thing about it. When he's rolling up to his friend's house and then they're going on a trip somewhere, his friends in the house think he's beeping at them, when in fact he's just getting out to go knock on the door. and it can be, I guess, perceived as, hey, hurry up, I'm waiting outside for you. Well, now you can turn that feature off. So Ford's enabled us to really start to manipulate a lot of things within the Sync 4 system, so we can really set this thing up the way we want. The other really nice thing, and I've tested this recently, so it's really convenient, unlock all doors. So now Ford's enabled us to where we can actually change the locks. So I can change it from all doors to just driver door. And I've tested this out already. Now it does indicate that it's on the driver's door itself, but if I have the key and I go to the passenger door and I try to open the passenger door, it will only open that passenger door and leave all the other doors locked. So I think more or less it is gauged towards wherever the key is currently located. So if the key's at the driver door, it'll open the driver door, all the other ones will be locked. If the key's at the passenger door, it'll unlock the passenger door, all the other doors will be locked. You're finding that a lot of people really want to do this more often than not because of the crime rates have gone up in pretty much every city. So just keeping your loved ones safe and having it to where it's only unlocking one door, that's definitely an option. Once you're inside, you can click the unlock all if you'd like to. If you want to keep it on unlock all and you live in a place where it's pretty safe, then you can certainly do so and keep it on all doors. So moving on to mirrors, this one's set up already at auto fold. I do believe a lot of the vehicles coming from Ford are not set up as auto fold on some of the vehicles that they should be. So if you ever want to check to see if your vehicle does have auto fold mirrors, go into vehicle settings, click on mirrors and see if the auto fold button is selected. If it's not and you have it, turn it on, and when you lock the vehicle, the mirrors will auto fold. Now on keypad, if you have the original key code on the card, you can come in here, you can enter the original key code and then change it from here. The other way, as we presented in a different video, on the door code itself, on the physical door, you can actually enter the original code, press the number 1, enter a brand new code, 5 digits, and then press number 1 again. I do not recommend you using the swipe method to unlock the vehicle for 5 digits. That is the first thing a thief is gonna try before busting out your windows. We're gonna try swipe up, swipe down, see if it'll unlock it. If it doesn't, hopefully they leave you alone, and yeah, God forbid they break your window. That would be terrible. I don't want that to happen to you. So moving on down over here, this one's pretty important. Now this vehicle, I'll mention that we're demonstrating for you, it is already a pre-owned one. Someone bought it and let's just say they made money on it. I don't want to say anything other than that. But the backup passcode is currently locked out on this. So what that is if I'm using my phone as a key, I can set up a backup start passcode. And so what it does is if my phone dies and I know my door code, I can use my door code to get in the vehicle, and then I'll have a backup passcode to start the vehicle should I not have any keys with me. And it will start the vehicle, then I can put my phone on that wireless charger or plug it in, and it will charge that phone, and then I can use that phone. You know, obviously I can use it later as a key. But this is where you would input that information. It is gonna be a series of steps between the phone and the computer system, the Sync 4 system itself. So you'll have to go back and forth. It'll go back and forth while you're setting it up, and then it'll finally lock in once you've connected the phone via Bluetooth and things of that nature. It's imperative if you're gonna use your phone as a key. I think some people will really like and enjoy using their phone as a key rather than having keys on them themselves, because some people already have smart homes with the Bluetooth enabled lock and unlock on their house. So a lot of people are trying to move away from the conventional keys and just not carry anything but their cell phone. But hopefully you don't lose that cell phone, because that's pretty much your world right there. So moving on down, so we can set up a low battery. We can actually set it up at 20 miles. I like the way Ford has it preset up at 50, so it's gonna warn me when I'm at 50 miles till I need to charge. Like, I absolutely need to get to a charger within 50 miles. If you should have no problem whatsoever finding a charge station within 50 miles, and later I'll show you just how many are in my area. Now, if this is your first EV vehicle, you will be shocked to know how many charge stations are actually in your area. It's just that you don't pay attention to them. Because you don't use them, they're not on your radar. But once you get on the navigation system and you see just how many there are in your area, or if you get into an EV, you'll be shocked to know there's hundreds and hundreds within miles of probably your home. So this technology is growing at a rapid pace. Almost every manufacturer has an EV vehicle, but as far as trucks go, I think we're the most mass produced. Of course, you have some other brands out there like Rivian, and probably the next one would be a Hummer that's the closest to a truck. But what we've done here with Ford is we've made the truck the same price or very close to what our current lineup is. So our XLTs are similarly priced to the Lightning XLT. So we're trying to make these vehicles affordable for everyone to have. Because if you want an electric vehicle, we want to be able to provide it for you. So if you have a low battery, 50 miles. The last two things that are down here on this vehicle setting is going to be the EV driving history, which we can press to reset, and then also emergency tow. So I'm not in a situation where I need to be emergency towed. If I was, this would illuminate and I can click on that, okay? So moving on down, I've got the general settings here. So these are things such as whether I want to be reading everything in English, Espanol, or La France, French. And then moving on down from there, I've got Fahrenheit or Celsius if I want to read my temperature in either one of those. And of course, I'm in miles, being here in Texas. I can also do kilometers, or I can do kilometers and kilowatt hours too if I want to use that measurement. PSI, of course, we can do bar and kPa there. They're just different forms of measuring the same type of stuff, right? So I'm able to change those as I wish. And then if I don't want the screen beeping, just like on other Ford vehicles, I can turn that off. I, for one, tend to like it, so it doesn't bother me much. Software licensing, things of that nature. And if I need to do a master reset, this is where this would happen. Click that reset button and hit master, and it will just erase everything within the system, and we'll start back from fresh. Moving on down to the display. So I can display a calm screen if I want to. It'll look a lot like this. If I want it to reappear, I can just tap it and it'll wake back up. I'll have to go all the way back to the same menu, unfortunately, but just showing you that really quickly. And then I can set this up on auto mode, or I can have it on light. This is talking about the infotainment system itself, whether I want it to be lit all the time. Do I want it to be dark? Well, currently where we are sitting, there's a lot of shade inside the showroom floor. So of course it automatically assumes it's dark outside. So I'm gonna leave it on auto because that is probably the best setting you could leave it on. Okay, so over here in clock, we can set it up for a 24-hour mode, or we can do it on a 12-hour mode. Of course, we can set it up to the region in which we're in. We're in Central Standard Time. And then, of course, it is set up to auto adapt to the time zone. When I'm on daylight savings time, I no longer have to go in here and change plus or minus an hour based on daylight savings. So it'll do it all by itself. Really, really smart, really intelligent vehicle. What most of us expect from our new vehicles. Connectivity, if I want to set this vehicle up on the Wi-Fi at home so that it can push updates faster to the vehicle rather than just pushing it over satellite, we certainly should set it up on managing networks. So you can go in here, manage networks, you can look at what's available, and it will show you what networks are currently available. Set your vehicle up on your home so it can do automatic updates. Of course, you can set it up on Haik guest or Haik employee. I'm not gonna do that at this time because the password is very lengthy, but that's where you'd go to set it up. Of course, you have the wireless projection. So we're talking about the phone that's connected. In this case, I don't have one yet, but I will be showing you that feature here momentarily. Bluetooth, so it is going to show the name. I can change the name from Ford F-150 Lightning to, you know, Nathan's car, Nathan's Lightning. I can change it to whatever I want. So this is what I'm talking about when I talk about this Sync 4 system. It is so customizable to meet every need that you want it to. So that's cool. I really like those features there. Coming on out of all of this and connectivity, I'm gonna go on down to Wi-Fi hotspot. Now this is where you will set up your Wi-Fi hotspot for the vehicle. And so currently right now, I don't have this vehicle on a subscription, so I can't show you what devices are connected, which devices are managed, how much data usage there is. But if I had that stuff, I could certainly go through this menu and see what devices are connected, how much data I'm using, just by going into this screen here. System updates. I would keep it on automatic, but you can schedule it. Now, this part can get pretty important. There will be future updates. Ford has already notified us that there are non-driving updates, which you can cancel a couple times until it annoys you to death. And there are driving updates. If you do not want to be the person to wake up in the morning and go to work and see that you have an update that's non-driving, put your vehicle on your home Wi-Fi and schedule it to say, I want you to update when I'm 100% in bed at 3 o'clock in the morning. From 3 o'clock, Monday through Sunday, I will 100% be sleeping, and that's when you can do your updates. That is what I recommend for everybody. Pick a time. Now, obviously, I sleep at night. Some people have night jobs, so that may not work for you, but pick a time in which you will for surely be in one position for several hours where you want the vehicle to do its update, because the last thing you want to do is jump out in your brand new Lightning, go to start it up, and it says non-driving update. You must wait. We don't want that to happen. So get in here, schedule an update, set your vehicle up on your home Wi-Fi so that it can push those updates as fast as possible, and you will never see that message most likely, unless it gets pushed while you're driving, which you can cancel it. It'll just get annoying if you keep pushing it back. So that's system updates for you. Mobile apps, those are gonna come from your personal phone. Departure and comfort, we already kind of touched on this. It's got its own menu now within this system, so we can just click on the pencil and edit that and tell it, from this location, I want you to pre-warm or preheat the car at this set time. And then when I leave work, I'll be charging from work. I will leave at this time. I want the car to be ready at that time. Moving on down, we've got 911 assist. So you can turn that on or off. It's completely up to you. This person selected off. I'm no different. I'm gonna move on down to driver's assist. So you can actually set this vehicle up now to talk to Ford as driver's assistant. So it's designed to be exactly like your phone. Your phone understands the words you say, even if you slur them, and other people who know you know what you're saying, but new people may say, what did you say? This vehicle will do the same thing. It'll learn your speech pattern. So you can actually come in here and put in listen for a wake word. You can turn that on, and what that is you can say, okay, Ford, and it will wake like that. Or you can put a preferred word in, so you can choose any one of these as a preferred word to wake up your Ford Lightning system. You can do advanced modes, and what advanced modes are going to be is it reduces the number of voice prompts over the sync system, allows you to speak a little clearer and sooner. And then, of course, you've got the phones command. So when we're talking about phones command, it confirms that you're making a phone call. That one should definitely be enabled. And then you've got voice command list. If you want to know what that is, it displays the voice commands and the names of how you communicate with the vehicle. Intelligent power, we've touched on that. Ford towing, we've touched on that, adding a trailer. Ambient lighting is the next menu. And unfortunately, folks, we still don't have multiple colors as far as Ford illumination lighting throughout the cab. I know a lot of us who've had Ford since 2018, I think that was the last year, they really want that to come back. I guess if you guys get on Ford and just start hammering them with emails, I want my multiple color ambient lighting back, fingers crossed they do it. But as of right now, it's still Still gonna be the blue oval, the bluish layout within the interior, which doesn't bother me, I like it. Coming on out of that screen, I'm gonna show you what you absolutely must know on this truck. So I'm gonna go up here in the middle, I'm gonna click on navigation. All right, folks, so we've gone ahead and opened up the navigation system. Now this thing is really, really cool because it's gonna show you just about everywhere you can go in your EV really, really quickly. And it'll also plan your trip for you, where you need to charge at, how long you're gonna stay there while you're charging, and how much you'll charge to then get to the very next charging station. So real quickly, I've opened up the map here. We're on Houston. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom out. All right, and since for this particular example, I'm gonna pick something outside the ring in which I can drive. So I'm gonna go ahead and place Dallas, Texas as our region to where we're gonna drive to, because it is outside of our range in which we can currently drive. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on the screen for the back. I'm gonna go to a recent setting where I've already selected Dallas, and I know that to be outside the ring in which we can currently travel. And I'm gonna select it, and it's gonna start calculating my trip for me and letting me know what charge stations are along the way. So as it's calculating, as you can see on the screen there,
please drive to highlighted route.
okay, it says total trip time is gonna take me 4 hours and 25 minutes. I think a normal trip is about 3 hours and 30 minutes if you're driving relatively quick. In this one, it's gonna show us where we're going to go. So I'm just gonna quickly zoom out. Okay, zoom it out. Oh, I can click right here, excuse me. And it'll show me that this is my very first charge station. So I can tap on that charge station. It's gonna say it's Electrify America, and it will tell me how much I'm gonna charge while I'm there and what type of rating this place has. Now, because I don't have the Blue Oval network set up here, it's not gonna tell me how many connectors are currently available. Now, if you don't know already, that Blue Oval program is basically an umbrella. Ford traps a bunch of different charging companies underneath of it. So instead of downloading, 1,000 different charging company apps and putting your credit card on each one of them, you just put it under the Ford Blue Oval program, and it has a bunch of charge programs underneath of it that you can utilize, and more are being adapted on a daily basis. Because this vehicle is currently not enabled, I don't have a profile set up within it, but I'm still able to look at the charge stations in which it would like me to go to. If I go back to my vehicle, and then I can click on this button here.
Please drive to highlighted route.
Of course. And then I want to click on, oops, excuse me. Let me go back to vehicle. And then I want to go click on this button. It'll give me more information on my travel if I should need that. And then in the settings button, I can go in here and I can show what's up ahead, the exits that are being serviced. I can look at traffic alerts, parking. I can cancel the route. I can look at the trip overview. So we're going to click on trip overview. And then I can see, just like I mentioned before, I've got 2 destinations that I can stop at. And it's giving me more of an overview of the entire trip. But if I want like turn-by-turn navigation, I can click on, the turn list, and I can see every single turn I need to make. But trip overview kind of gives you a better overall layout of, where I'm going to charge, how much I'm going to charge, how many miles it's going to get me to get there, how long do I need to be there, and then how much battery I'm going to have at the end of that commute. So for us to commute at Dallas doing the bare minimum charging, we're going to be about 12%. So expect us to have a charger once we're there. We're definitely going to need to jump on a charger. So that's a really quick overview of the navigation system. And this is just a really quick example of traveling to Dallas using Electrify America and the Blue Oval network. And like I said, you get 250,000 kilowatt hours when you sign up for the Blue Oval network from Electrify America. They are probably the best and fastest charge stations that are out there outside of maybe a Tesla fast charger. There are a lot of them out there and they work really, really well. All right, folks, so the last step we're gonna do on this infotainment system for this Ford Lightning and its ginormous 15.5-inch display is we are going to pair an Apple device to the screen there. Now, this device is not mine, so courtesy of the gentleman who lent it to me. But really quickly, I'm gonna go into the settings menu. I'm gonna go over to Bluetooth. I'm gonna click the on button there, and on our device, I'll just start it from the beginning there. So I'm going to add phone or go to phone list, and I'm gonna click on add device.
Search for your vehicle on your device.
It's gonna then search for the device. I'm going to click on Ford F-150. So I'm currently searching for the Ford F-150. If for some reason your phone is being finicky like this one, you can click allow Bluetooth devices near me,
Select one of the devices
and
found
it
by selecting
will list the phones that are near you. So of course, I'm still not showing the device in here, but I see it here. So I'm gonna go ahead and tap it.
Please confirm.
It'll hard pull it in. I can click pair, and I'm going to hit deny on adding the contacts.
For your safety, please stay alert to change
We've got a
your
successful
conditions
compare.
and use Sync's voice-activated features while your vehicle is in motion.
I'm gonna hit finish, and I'm gonna hit enable CarPlay. And there you have it. I am on the CarPlay. So I'm gonna go straight over to the map. Now this is your Google or your Apple map. Now one of the things I like to personally do with my phone is I'll either set it right here in the F-150. I will set it right there a lot of times. Of course, we can charge it, and that's what it's designed to do. So I can leave it there, put it on charge, out of sight, out of mind. Now, one thing really nice about Apple CarPlay is, of course, you do get a pretty big display here. I can also click expand, and it will become a tablet-sized Apple CarPlay, which is, I mean, it's already on a tablet, right? But that's massive. That's huge. So I can just quickly click on this button here if I'd like. Now this is the talk to text on the steering wheel here. If I touch it for 1 second, I'm gonna talk to the Ford interface. If I hold it down for a second, I will talk to the Siri interface, and I can ask Siri a number of different questions and she will listen to me. Now, if you have your Hey Siri enabled, which I don't on this device, I don't have to click any buttons, and I can just say, hey Siri, give me directions to, you know, X, Y, and Z, and they will give me directions on my maps, which is really, really convenient for total hands-free experience. For other applications now, those are gonna depend on what Ford is gonna allow you to have on here, but you can click these little icons down here and you can pan through certain ones. So on this particular device, I have Brave, I have Google Maps, Spotify, of course, Telegram, and Zoom. Now, of course, the Zoom is just a call. It's not a video conversation. I have yet to personally use that, so I wouldn't be able to tell you by firsthand experience whether I can still have the camera on or not. Of course, we have podcasts and, you know, messages and things of that nature. So having your Apple CarPlay up here makes it really, really convenient. If you absolutely love your phone's navigation system and interacting with phone calls hands-free, just kind of keeping you off of your phone while driving, that's what we're trying to accomplish here. We don't want you to become a distracted driver while you're driving in your brand new Ford Lightning F-150. So with that being said, that is the setup for connecting the phone to the screen on this giant 15.5-inch display, showcasing the Apple CarPlay. I will tell you one downside, and I really hate saying downsides because I love everything there is to know about Ford. This button right here will collapse it. That is what your Android Auto will look like. It will not be as large as the Apple device is. Why that is, I think the Android Auto app currently is not updated to a display quite as large as this, whereas Apple has already done that update because of the Tesla vehicles and also because of the Mach-E. So once Android Auto does its full update and it allows for this enlarged screen, we will have that on those devices as well. And of course, down here in the bottom, it's showing that I'm charging. So as I just swiped my finger by there, magically it disappeared and then came back. But I have it on the wireless charge pad. That's what it's designed for. And that will finalize the infotainment system for the Ford Lightning. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. Next up, we're gonna move on to the main dash, instrument cluster in the back, and all the buttons here on the steering wheel and around the steering wheel, just finalizing this entire interior. So follow me on over here and we'll start on that. All right, so on over here on the steering wheel controls, these are much like the current Expedition and F-150. In fact, all our steering wheel controls for our larger vehicles are soon enough gonna have this exact layout here. So on the right side, we've got the menu tab, up and down, and the OK. We've also got a back button here, as well as answer and hang up on a phone call, and then skip left and right track for your infotainment system. On the left side of the steering wheel, we have our adaptive cruise control with our lane keeping system, which is also the same button for the hands-free lane centering button. So while we're not in adaptive cruise control, if we have that selected, we'll have that lane keeping system. So if I lean outside of my lane, it'll pull me back in or vibrate the steering wheel in the form of an alert. So I have my push to talk button on below that. Now that will integrate with the Ford system here, talking to Ford. And like I mentioned before, you can put in a Ford command and then just not push any buttons and just speak freely. Just like I have Siri currently connected, but I don't have it on Hey Siri. If you're on Android, you can say, okay, Google. But if you don't have any of those features enabled, you can just then hold this button for a few seconds. You will talk to your supported device on this main screen. To the left, I have the volume up and then the volume down and then the cruise control button. This would be my set button when I get to the speed that I would like to be at. This is the cancel and or resume button. So if I needed to cancel for whatever reason while I'm in hands-free driving, I can tap that button or tap the brake. And then if I need to resume, I can quickly just click that button again and it will resume me back to the speed that I had currently set. Now this minus set button, it will remove some speed and the positive will add some speed. So as the highway speeds increase, of course we can put it on speed sign recognition, but if we don't want to, we can just simply tap this button and increase speed accordingly. All right, folks, so on the instrument cluster, I'm currently in accessory power and it's showing me that I have 193 miles of range. I'm at 69%, currently under one pedal drive. My headlights are currently set up to automatic. Currently in park, it is 74 degrees inside this beautiful building at Haik Ford. Southwest direction is where I'm heading, and the vehicle has 160 miles on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my foot on the brake and hit the start button. It's gonna give us this lovely view here, which also shows my range as well, and a few other things. So if I now click on the menu button, I can look at my view, I can look at trip. So under my view, it's this. If I click the down button, this is one of the ones that I have pre-saved. I can click and hold the OK button to reset that trip. I can go down and down again. I've got tire pressure here showing 37, 37, 36, and 38, excuse me. Click down again, and I'm back to the configure my view. So if I click OK, I can add a calm screen to this. I can do this trip, which is already pre-selected. I can show seatbelts, pitch and roll, power distribution. So that's showing what tires are putting down power and which ones are losing traction. I can look at the trailer's tire info as we talked about earlier, and I can do a trailer light status check also from here. But I'm not going to add those at this time, so I'm just going to go ahead and click back, or I'm going to click the menu button, click my view. I'm going to go down, and now I'll be able to see those views. So calm, trip, this trip, tire pressure, seat belts, no one's buckled in, pitch and roll 0, 0, 0, and then I'm showing power distribution, so it's showing power over charge. So this view is actually really cool to drive in. As you're applying the brakes and using your regenerative braking, it's showing you that you're charging. And then when you're driving and you're putting your foot on the accelerator, it's actually showing you how much power usage you're using. So pretty cool view to have on here. I'm glad Ford put that in there. Going back to the menu button, we've already kind of discussed trip. And so I can click into this one and I'm going to click on driver's assistance, and I can see the views are pretty much the same as my view, but they're just under trip. And currently I'm not in drive, so I'm not showing any driver's assistance. So I'm going to go back to menu. I'm going to go back to truck information. So I can look from here. I can look at, looks to be the same setup, sadly. Not much information there. Towing, I can look at towing information, and I can look at my trailer tire information. I can look at the trailer light status. I can look at my towing status and the driver's assistance associated with all those. Of course, I'm not towing at this time, so that one's really not going to do me any good currently. My navigation system, if I click on that, I can navigate to home. I can navigate to previous destinations. I can have favorites set up in here. And of course, I've got favorites, and then also I can go to places of interest. Going on down, I've got phone, I've got audio, and I've got other settings. So click on other settings. If I want to change the speedo, I can. If I want to look at the braking coach, I can. If I want to look at the EV driving history, I certainly can do that as well. So some useful tips in here. Most of the information is going to be in your center stack.